Resident Evil Requiem just got a ton of new details revealed about the game from the Capcom website, including new information about the game's story, the main character, locations, gameplay, and more. We also have an insider that confirms that Leon will indeed be a playable character in the game. We have a lot to cover, guys, so check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let's get started. So jumping straight into the details, this is coming from the residentevil.com website, and they said this, and I quote, "Requiem for the dead, nightmare for the living. Resident Evil Requiem is the 9th title in the mainline Resident Evil series. Prepare to escape death in a heart-stopping experience that will chill you to your core. A new era of survival begins in 2026, technological advancements combined with the development team's depth of experience combined in a story with rich characters and gameplay that's more immersive than ever before." They then gave us some details about the game's story and said this: "Everything is set in motion when a body, the victim of an unidentifiable disease, is discovered in an abandoned hotel. FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft is assigned to the case, but the crime scene is at the very same hotel where her mother died 8 years ago. Grace prepares to finally face the past and makes her way onto the scene, but this one case leads to uncovering the hidden truth behind the outbreak in Raccoon City, the biological disaster that shook the world. Will this be the Requiem that finally lays the memories of the abhorrent disaster to rest?" This brings us to Grace Ashcroft herself, and it says, "An intelligence analyst for the FBI who demonstrates intense focus and insight in deductive reasoning and analysis. Her mother's death shook her to the soul, making her an introvert who immerses herself in work. So she heads to the abandoned hotel alone to investigate the mysterious death." We also have new screenshots and images of Grace Ashcroft. Some of them were from the trailer, and I have to say, they absolutely crushed it with the design of Grace Ashcroft. I was a little bit concerned that we wouldn't have like Leon as the main character like fully. Now, according to a leaker, Leon will be a playable character, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. First, let's go over some details we have from Koshi Nakanishi, the game director on Resident Evil Requiem. Well, he recently was in an interview with PC Gamer, and he had this to say in regards to Grace Ashcroft being the main character. So PC Gamer said in a private message that was sent to Resident Evil ambassadors, Nakanishi, translated by YouTuber Neon Slice, was adamant that Grace Ashcroft, not Leon, would be Requiem's main character. To which that message said this, and I quote, "Grace will take the center stage in a story packed with fresh twists and surprises." And he ended it with, "Her character will be deeply connected to the larger Resident Evil universe." Grace Ashcroft is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, a reporter who was playable in the widely forgotten Resident Evil Outbreak from 2003, but who was also mentioned once or twice in RE7. Alyssa was killed during the investigation of the Wrenwood Hotel, which took place in the universe in the year 2016, roughly 8 years before RE Requiem takes place. Now, the trailer definitely focuses on Grace and her fascination with the sight of her mother's murder, and the footage seemed to suggest that she would be the main character, but many fans aren't convinced. But more on that in just a bit. Let's go onto the website and continue. So in the location section, they said, "Return once again to the city of the disaster and despair. We will be returning to Raccoon City, a Midwestern city in the United States, and the headquarters for the former global pharmaceutical company Umbrella. In the face of the zombie outbreak in 1998, the government approved a sterilization operation, a missile strike on the city in an attempt to quickly bring the situation under control, but this was swiftly covered up." Moving to the gameplay section of the website, they confirmed something that was in the leaks that we kind of knew about for a while, but they said, "Experience the series' classic survival horror through combat, investigations, puzzles, and resource management. Gameplay allows you to freely switch between first and third person views to face the horror in a way that suits your playstyle." So as the leaks have mentioned, we will be able to go from first person to third person freely with I'm guessing a toggle, probably a button, or they'll do like they've done before and just have a camera setting option in the menu where you could switch between first and third person. So jumping into the playable character situation, we have Grace, who will be the main character of the game, but according to several inside reports floating around, Grace will not be the only playable character in RE9, and the other playable character, or possibly main character, will be none other than Leon Kennedy. And while this may be a bit of a stretch, as it seems like Leon isn't in the trailer, but I think that's just a bit of misdirection. I think he probably was, but they're deliberately hiding it. He's actually been hidden a few times throughout clever ways, which really seems to suggest that Capcom is holding off his big reveal until the next trailer. The first little hint is during the brief shot where you could see the front of Raccoon City Police Department. You can actually see what looks to be Leon's Jeep parked out front. Sure, it's all busted up for obvious reasons, but it's unmistakably his Jeep, and since it's parked out in front of his old workplace, it definitely seems like an intentional tease by Capcom. Another little hint in the trailer is during one sequence, there's a picture on the wall of a man who really looks like Leon, but perhaps the biggest hint that Leon is in the game is actually not in the trailer, but online. The voice actor who has been providing the voice of Leon Kennedy since the RE2 remake has recently updated his resume on his website to list a AAA video game that he couldn't disclose the name of yet due to NDA. And again, all of these hints are being spotted alongside the fact that gaming insiders like Dusk Golem have flat out said that Leon Kennedy is going to be one of the main characters in this game, so all signs seem to point to Leon being a major player in the story and potentially one of the playable characters. But Capcom is intentionally holding off that reveal, most likely for hype reasons. Like, what better way to show off a new trailer than to show off Leon? Like, I can't wait for that trailer to happen. So we have little teasers and hints throughout the trailer. We have Leon's voice actor working on a secret project, and we also have gaming insiders saying, like, just straight up that Leon is the main character. So if I had to guess, I would say that we're probably due for another RE9 trailer at the end of the year at the Game Awards, and that's most likely where Capcom is going to drop the big Leon bomb. Now, a recent Dusk Golem thread points out that the voice of the character who says we need to keep our voices down is being provided by actress Nicole Tompkins, but he's not sure who the character actually is. Now, Nicole Tompkins previously voiced Jill in RE3 Remake, so she's no stranger to the franchise. So could this be an indication that Jill is actually coming back somehow? I've always thought that Jill was one of the more underrated Resident Evil protagonists, so I would be totally down to get some more of her story in this game. Now, following the trailer breakdown, Dusk Golem then stated that he stands by what he said in the past about Grace not actually being the main character in RE Requiem, and that it's going to be Leon's story more than anyone else's. Sure, Grace will be a main character and the player will control her for a significant portion of the game, but Leon is ultimately going to be the star of the show. And once Capcom finally reveals that, it's going to turn the first trailer on its head a bit. Now, interestingly enough, Dusk Golem also says that he thinks this game is going to have multiple primary locations for gameplay, and that there will be more than just Rinwood Hotel and the ruins of Raccoon City, and that the game structure will be heavily inspired by the original Resident Evil. So there will be multiple hubs where you venture around the map and then uncover bits of the story, with the hotel and Raccoon City being the two hubs, and you'll have two perspectives to do it through, similar to how RE1's gameplay worked, with two characters wandering around the mansion. There's also confirmed to be a playable demo this August at Gamescom, so I'm not entirely sure if Capcom is going to drop the Leon bomb before or after that. It's entirely possible that the August demo is just focused on Grace's sections, and then there will be a second demo following Leon that focuses on his sections. But then again, I might be entirely wrong with my timing here. Capcom might be dropping the Leon bomb at Gamescom, but I guess we will have to wait and see. Now, this brings us to our first hands-on gameplay demo that was behind closed doors, and it revealed a ton of details. This is coming from PC Gamer, and they said this, and I quote, they said, in what seemed like the first level of the game, we see Grace is strapped to a gurney, suspended upside down while an IV collects her blood. In a cutscene, she escapes by breaking the glass bottle of the blood and cutting through her restraints. The player takes control in first person as she stands up. Grace then slowly inched down the hallways of the Rinwood Hotel, trying to lock on every door as the sounds of a monster crawling around the walls built tension. When it finally burst through the wall, just like RE7's Jack Baker before it, its sickly pale skin and bulging eyes didn't make a huge impression. They said it was sloppy and nasty. Grace then ran, closing doors behind her and hiding in dark corners until the coast was clear. It was around the time Grace was finding a screwdriver to open a panel to replace a fuse to restore power to the area that I realized in a typical RE game, Grace would have picked up a gun or at least a knife by now. Instead, she skulked around with only a lighter purely for light and a bottle throwable to cause distraction. They continue by saying Grace escapes, but not before the beast takes a bite of her shoulder and she restores her health with an injector. The article then said, I got the impression that Capcom was holding back in a big way. Could it be that Grace Ashcroft is in Requiem's sole protagonist and the rumors of Leon Kennedy's return are true? Yeah, so from everything that I've heard and seen from Resident Evil Requiem, this game looks like it's about to be absolutely insane. Hopefully we get Leon Kennedy's return. Let me know if you guys want that down in the comment section. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on so you're not missing out on any future gaming news. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.